Well, I thought I'd talk a little bit about these VW panels I've got to work on as far as what's going on with them. They are in primer stage before paint. All the body work was done to the panels, and any low spots, dents, things was repaired. And then I applied a coat of epoxy primer as a base, and then on top of that it has 3 coats of a fill primer, so that it gets a good heavy coat on there for block sanding. So this panel is pre-block sanding, and you can see, get up close here, all this speckle paint on here. This is called guide coat. If you're not familiar with it, guide coat comes in an aerosol can, and you just mist it over top of the panel, and as you sand the panel down, it will allow any low spots or high spots to show up very quickly to see where you need to do any further repair on the panels. Now I can walk over here to the hood where I've already done my initial block sanding on this hood, and you can see as you sand, the guide coat kind of wears off and you're left with your nice smooth finish in most areas, except over here where I've got a couple of low spots, and there, and just some little areas. And you'll see, just like right here, get down close to that, if you can see that, the speckles are still there around the rest of the panel where where I've sanded everything off. So once you find your low spots, or if you've got high spots, you're gonna break through all of the primer coats and go down to your bare metal. So you'll want to knock those down flat and then have to do some body work on those. But when you find your low spots, they're usually very shallow spots, so you just need some glazing putty. You go over top of those, we'll resand those down, and then we'll reapply some fill primer to that, and then sand that out. And then after that, after the repairs have been done, these panels will just get another sanding down with a finer grit sandpaper, and that'll leave these ready for paint, mainly because this is just this is not one of my premier paint jobs that we would do here, but this is just for a car that's going to be resold. So the customer is wanting to save some money on the paint job, so we don't take as many steps as we would with a car that's going to be going out to compete in shows. So once we get it sanded out with some 400, we'll wipe everything down again and apply another coat of epoxy primer as a sealer coat, and then on top of that we'll go the final color coat in just a single stage paint, so that everything will be finished up one shot, gives you color and your shine, and down the road these panels will go to reunite with the car and get put back together. Now, as far as the sanding process goes, what I'm using to start with is I buy my sandpaper in a big continuous roll like this. It's 220 grit, and I've got a Durablock hard block that I use to do my sanding with. You want to try and use as long a block as you can on your panels to get your surfaces as flat as possible. Now, this is a Volkswagen, so there isn't really very much that's flat on these cars, but there are areas that you want to you need to try and get them as smoothed out and as flat as possible. So I like using this block on these cars because it's a little bit more flexible. It will go around the curves on these, because these cars all have compound curves, which makes it kind of difficult to do block sanding to, but you do what you can with these. So the way you want to go about block sanding, you get your paper on your block, and you always want to go in a diagonal. You sand in a diagonal this way, kind of come back this way. This keeps lines from showing up after paints have cured and shrunk. if you're going straight back and forth like this, you'll tend to get more sand scratches that show up later on after the paints dry out and they shrink back some. Going in a diagonal like this back and forth, it kind of breaks that up to where you don't get sand scratches that come back and show in your paint later on. So we just go around the whole panel in this manner, like I showed you on that hood there, where everything is, where we found our low spots that we've got. You can see I've got a couple starting to show up here. Sometimes, there's a lot of paint on here. Since this primer's thick with 3 coats on here, there's a lot of primer on here. So you've got something to work with. A lot of times you can sand this down enough to get those very shallow low spots out, and you don't need to apply any more filler to the panels. But if you're sanding away and you happen to break through all your primer all the way down to the bare metal again, chances are you're not getting that out, and you're going to need to put just a really thin layer of a glazing putty on there to build that slight area back up and bring it up to where the rest of this panel is at, so you get a nice smooth finish when you do go to apply your color. So I'm gonna keep sanding this panel down, find my low spots, do my repairs just like I started to do on that hood there, reapply some more primer, sand all that down, and hopefully after that I can go at it with the 400 and get it ready to be sanded out. But I'm not going to sit here and let you watch me block sand, because it is one of the most boring things that I do with a car. It is a tedious job, but it's also one of the most important as far as making a paint job look good. It's the block sanding process. But again, just long, tedious, boring. It's not something you want to sit here and watch for 2 hours as I'm sanding away. Unless you want me to put you to sleep, because it's a good thing for somebody that can't sleep, sit here and watch me block sand. You'll be asleep in 15 minutes. Alright, so today I've got my helper in the shop, and we're learning how to sand on the fenders. Ashton, show us how you sand the fender. Go ahead. He's learning the right way how to sand. You don't go back and forth, you got to go this way. Remember what I showed you? We do it like this. And like this. See, you can do crosses. Alright? Do your crosses. Like this. Look. This way. And then this way. That way. And then this way. That's the sandpaper. Can you tell them what grit it is? Say it's 220. Say it's 220. Not 8, 220. 220. And 2. Are you going to do a good job for me? Huh? Hey, you going to do a good job sanding the fender? Yeah. What are we going to do when we get it done? Do we paint it?
Yeah.
All right. So Pop will do the painting and you do the sanding. All right. You're gonna sand on that car?
Yeah.
Oh, which car is that? The Mercedes?
Yeah.
No, we're not ready to sand on the Mercedes yet. Nope, we got to keep sanding on the fender here. Yeah, this is what we're going to work on today on this fender. So you keep sanding away on that and you get that ready for me to paint. And then we'll paint it later, okay? Nope, you got to do it the other way with the paper. There you go, perfect. You keep sanding and we'll check back later and see how you did, okay? You going to do it fast? Okay, can you say have a good day, everybody?
Bye.
Say bye, have a good day.